But Jonathan Schiessl as well joins in on the show right now. Jonathan, hi, good to have you on the show. The India-UK FTA deal signed, now all question marks on what happens with India-US tariffs next. But it seems like the markets domestically have bigger concerns with regards to earnings actually slowing down. What is your own sense on where the markets could actually be headed from here? Because it seems like we'll be stuck in this range for quite some time. And if there is, some more accidents in the pipeline when it comes to India Inc. Earnings, and that perhaps could take the markets much lower from here.
Yeah, and so hi there. No, I agree. I think clearly we've got to put everything in the context of where the market's been and where the market's gone over the last couple of years. And certainly India has performed exceptionally well over that period, certainly versus other markets like China and even the US. So I think, as we're seeing at the moment, there's definitely a lot more focus certainly from developed market investors into emerging markets. And we're seeing a bit of a pull away out of India to a degree into some of the Chinese markets, which are breaking out. I think, as you rightly say, the issue that a lot of people have with India remains valuation. And clearly, with now question marks over some of the key sectors' earnings drivers, it's a sort of easy call to perhaps some of the short-term money to switch out of India and look to buy cheaper Chinese or other emerging market stocks.
All right, that's the take. But hi, Jonathan. Afternoon. This is Shrishti also joining in. But sectorally, and especially with respect to the earnings, where are you finding comfort right now? Because select NBFCs, these IT companies, they have disappointed a bit. Help us understand what's your sectoral pick as of now.
Yeah, I mean, we kept a decent weighting towards the private sector banks, which has certainly worked for us. We do have weightings towards IT. We think, yes, there's certainly headwinds in the short term and some remaining uncertainty, but we still think that sector looks pretty well positioned going forward. So we're happy to sit there as well. Those are probably our two biggest sectors. Domestically, clearly, interest rates, are they going to go much lower? And we need to see a pickup in activity. So domestic consumption sectors still seem to be under a little bit of pressure. But that said, probably for us, we still, as I've said many times before, we still like the financials, and particularly the big banks, which are a good player across, to play India Inc., certainly for foreign investors anyway.
Jonathan, so that's what you're liking at the moment, but what is your take on the kind of outflow that we've seen from the Indian equity markets via FIIs over the last month, last week? It's been absolutely dry and the outflow has been massive. The DIIs, the domestic institutions, are trying to back that up and balance it, but somehow that outflow number is always outperforming. What is your sense on what could be bringing the FIIs back, and when do you think this could happen?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I think it's primarily driven by relative value and global investors, seeing Chinese equities breaking out and still looking on a relative basis cheaper. And also, Chinese equities, you can play certain sort of technology stocks, which you just can't get to the same degree. The Tencents, the Alibabas. You can get some of these type of stocks in India, but not the scale and the liquidity that you've got in some of the Chinese markets. So for the moment, I think we're definitely seeing a little bit of outflow from India from that trend. More short-term money, I'd say. Back in the past, certainly when I first started investing in India, the impact of foreign investors used to be huge, and the market, I think, would have fallen a lot further. But as you mentioned, domestic investors now are a significant player. And a dominant player now in the local market, and the impact hasn't been quite as severe as it used to be. I certainly used to quite like days when foreign investors were selling, and we get a lot of volatility in individual stocks, which you could pick up. But yeah, we're seeing less of that these days.
Right, interesting. Just let me take it across to Vinay Rajani and get in some stock-specific ideas as well going, and if he has any BTST ideas on his list. Vinay?
Yeah, so I have one short idea on CDSL because CDSL has broken down below the crucial support of 50 days EMA and has been underperforming. So CDSL July future can be shorted here around 1615, 1620. I would suggest to stop loss at 1645. On the downside, I'm expecting a target of 1570. On the other side, I would like to go long in the pharma space. One of the stock is Dr. Reddy, which has been doing well. And today, pharma sector has done well, so we can take chance by going long in this market. So Dr. Reddy is looking good around 1275, 1278. Stop loss can be kept at 1255. On the upside, we are expecting a target at 1315.
All right. So yes, the pharma pack is doing indeed very well, and especially on the back of the earnings as well. We have seen good moves, and now maybe it's Laurus Lab on the up move because the stock has recovered from its lowest point post the surprise coming in on the numbers and especially on the margins. Look at the margin performance of 24.3% this time around versus the street estimate of close to 21%. There's a beat coming across the parameters versus expectation of 122 crores, 161 crores is what the company has reported. Because do remember this time even the management commentary was not that optimistic or confidence giving, because even they were projecting that they might have the ARV segment contributing a little less in this time. So that's about Laurus Lab numbers. Yes, of course, there's a surprise across the board that we have seen, and especially the margins. Now if we look at their CDMO business, that has seen a jump of 103% in their revenue on a YOY basis. The generic business too has seen a jump of 12%. So the jump on CDMO is actually in line to what even the street was working with. They were actually anticipating a 3-digit growth number, and the company has bang in line managed to deliver that particular number. Yes, other than that, I think that the company has stopped giving their overall guidance in the presentation right now. But specifically on the number front, a bit of a move in Laurus Lab. But Vinay, quickly, if I can have your chart check on Laurus Lab. All right, Jonathan, yes, we have talked about sectors of yours, but Jonathan, any specific take on pharma?
Yeah, we actually are very underweight the pharma sector globally, and we have no exposure within India. It's a sector which I think there's still some uncertainty about US policy, pressure on pricing, et cetera, et cetera. So for the time being, it hasn't acted particularly defensive over the last short period. Yes, it's some of the names in India have done reasonably well in the short term, but yeah, at the moment we still think the sector is a little bit. There are some uncertainty, so it's just keeping us away and underweight the sector.
Well, completely off topic, but Jonathan, quite curious, have you ever watched any Indian Bollywood movie ever?
Yes, I have. I've been seen Indian Bollywood movies within India. It's experience, that's for sure.
It is, and let me sell that more to you, because it seems like Bollywood is back with a bang, and cinema halls are seeing a resurgence of audiences with movies like Chava, Sitare Zameen Par, and most recently Sayara as well, which has been raking up the moolah at the box office, throwing in a couple of popular Hollywood movies as well, and the re-releases of popular movies in the picture cineplexes are eyeing a very good run this year. My colleague Nivedna Prabhu joins in with the top winners this year so far. Nivedna?
If the Indian box office were a film this year, the first half just gave us drama, action and a plot twist and a surprise hit, of course, no one saw coming. But Chava has led the charge at the Indian box office as far as earnings is concerned in the first half of 2025, 600 crore. Vicky Kaushal in full warrior mode, remember, proving history plus heroism is equal to pure box office carnage. Then, of course, came the sleeper stunner that we're looking at, Sayara. Ahan Pandey's debut broke 200 crores. No big name backing, just heartbreak, hooks and probably Gen Z lapped it up. But we're also looking at the other aspect of Amir Khan hit Rewind with Sitare Zameen Par. No OTT drop this time. He brought it to theatres old school style. 170 crores later, the verdict is in. Mr. Perfectionist still knows how to pack a hall. Metro in Dino, of course, tried for ensemble magic. Of course, it made lesser numbers as compared to the other films, but a reminder that not every nostalgic trip finds its destination. Made about 52 crores at the box office. But Hollywood showed up in how? Engines roaring, F1 the movie, Brad Pitt racing at 60 plus like he's 26, burning rubber, and of course screen time. It zipped past 100.75 crores at the Indian box office. The man's faster clearly than algorithms. Then we also saw, of course, Jurassic World Rebirth followed with 100 crores again at the Indian box office. Scarlett Johansson plus dinosaurs, well, decent bite. And Superman has made so far 53.5 crores at the box office. Great Cape, mid-flight, but overall, of course, these numbers might improve. But the message here, Indian audiences are done with pause buttons. They're back in theatres, cheering, some of them crying, you know which film we're talking about, whistling and living the movie. The OTT wave perhaps flattening, but the big screen very much alive. And if Chava and Sayara were just the trailers, the main features are still coming for the rest of 2025. We're looking at War 2, Kohli, Jolly LLB 3 and lots more. So clearly buckle up and yes, get that popcorn bucket. The refill queue is about to surely get longer.
Well, so that's the take on how the box office has performed in Bollywood so far. And Jonathan, coming to you on a similar theme, right? These are themes that the Indian audiences are starting to lap up. It could be leisure, entertainment, and discretionary consumption, of course. How are you seeing these themes emerging now that this is also seeing a lot of consumer interest back home?
Yeah, look, I think you're right. It's clearly one of the opportunity sets that India offers. The consumption side has always been the main focal point of most investors into the Indian market. It's a huge and growing pie and incredibly important to have some exposure there. Would totally agree with you.
The Jonathan, I'm curious, which of the Bollywood movies have you liked so far? You said that you've been watching them.
I have to apologize. It's been a few years, but yeah, it was quite some time ago, and I cannot remember the title. But it's good fun. Fortunately, my retention for the titles is not so good.
I get that. But you know, when you talk about multiplexes, it's been just so much consolidation in the play, and now you have pretty much only one listed player in PVR Inox. Should be part of one's core portfolio, you think?
I mean, for the way we look at, there are brilliant business models, and as you say, you've seen consolidation in the sector, which is something as an investor we like. What unfortunately would keep us away from the sector is we would rather have a bit more medium to longer term visibility. And when you've got a lot of your earnings reliant on blockbuster hits, which you can't guarantee that'll be coming out anytime soon. It's just the variability of earnings that keep us away from that sector. It can be fantastic, but there also can be lean times as well, and we tend to shy away from sectors like that.
All right, but Jonathan, just shifting focus to the metal pack now, I was a little bit interested to know that how do you believe the metal as a space, especially with respect to some of those Indian listed companies can perform going ahead? Because in terms of the earnings, back home we have that safeguard duty, which is indeed helping select steel companies to have that pricing power back. But it is indeed a globally linked sectors, and we move much in tandem to that. What's the view that you're getting on the metal pack? Because some of the precious metals, they are nowhere close to like making a top, or that's very hard to predict. But the base commodities as well, they are inching higher.
Yeah, so definitely we are very bullish on the commodity sector as a whole. We think we are probably in the early phases still of a decent bull market that should last some time. Yes, there'll be a bit of volatility from time to time. Yes, individual commodity complexes will go through their short-term cycles within the bull. But generally speaking, we think over the next few years, with everything that's going on geopolitically, with growth hopefully beginning to pick up again out of China, out of the rest of Asia, and we think probably the situation in the US is, probably will, US unlikely to tip into a recession. So we think the commodity space and with the movement of supply chains that's going on is that we are extremely bullish on that space. And in addition, we think it is also a good hedge against, we think, continued and ongoing inflationary pressures in the global economy.
Okay, Jonathan, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining in right now.